Nancy, and thank you, Louie, and you better have those mushrooms ready for me when I need them in a few years, maybe in a long time. But thank you, and I just, I hadn't seen this before, and I love the imagery that you've put in, I guess, hospitals and in children's rooms. And I remember when we first met you, these were all just ideas, and now they're happening. So, so excited. Give him another hand. Well, here we are at our 11th Global Wellness Summit. So we're starting our second decade, indeed. And it does seem like, well, it says here it seems like only yesterday, but the reality is it does seem like quite a while ago. When we started 11 years ago, there was a meeting, actually 12 years ago, in Singapore that birthed the idea of a global gathering. And some of the people who were at that meeting are here today. And it was really, truly a vision. And it came alive. Our first summit was in New York, and that was 11 years ago. And now here we are at the iconic Breakers to start our second decade of meetings. We started out as the Global Spa Summit. We were spa professionals all over the world that didn't really have an industry yet. And so we felt the need to gather together and form a group. And yeah, here we are 11 years later. And now we are way more than just people in the spa world. We have people from architecture, medicine, spa, of course, hospitality, real estate, beauty, fitness, investing, technology, nutrition, and looking ahead, real estate, mental wellness, and even wellness and retail coming together. The thing that does bind us together is that we form a global community focused on prevention. And we're trying to do everything we can to make this world a healthier place. Many things have changed since 11 years ago. In fact, I don't know if you remember that we didn't really use the term wellness much back then. But there are some things that are the same. And one thing that's the same is the mission, and that's become our motto for the Global Wellness Summit. And that is joining together, shaping the future. And we are now as much a part of doing that now as we were then. We're joining together, and we really are about not just looking at the future, but shaping it. We've had 10 memorable summits. We started in New York, as I mentioned, and our first keynote speaker was Steve Case, and our second keynote speaker was Dr. Richard Carmona. And we had the privilege of having him back with us again this year. And yes, you'll meet him very shortly. He has not been with us for 10 years, so it'll be very interesting to hear what he has to say. A lot has happened. So after that, we went to Switzerland. That's where we heard from former President Adolf Ogi. Then we went to Istanbul, where we learned all about hammams and went to some of the really authentic hammams in Istanbul. We went to Bali, where we really got in touch with the spirituality of that area. And then we went to the Aspen Institute, and that's where we put a lot of emphasis on innovation. Then we went to India, where we were blessed to be with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who was with us for an incredible 90 minutes, telling us his thoughts on wellness and answering our questions. Then we went to Morocco, where we danced under the Arabian Nights, and we met Yahya, who is fantastic, very famous artist there. Then Mexico City, which was fantastic, and we had children on stage in Mexico City who taught us, and I'll never forget the little girl who taught us that family is more important than work. And on that note, I want to introduce my husband, who is somewhere in the audience, because family is now more important to me than work. Where is he? Where is he? Okay. There he is. Okay. We've been married 32 years, and he would mention that family has not always been priority in the past, but it is now. So that was in Mexico City, and then we went to Austria. That was last year, and that's where we learned a lot about wellness tourism since they are such experts. And now here we are at the Breakers here in Palm Beach, and we are so delighted to be here. I want to let you know that the Breakers is the first independent, privately owned company that has sponsored the summit and has reached out to us specifically because we are a wellness organization, because they are so passionate here about wellness. And you're going to hear more about that in the next, well, even today and then the next few days. You're going to meet one of the owners, Mr. Garrett Kirk. You're going to meet the CEO, Mr. Paul Leone. You're going to meet Denise Bober, who is head of human resources, Tricia, who is the GM, and Amy from the spa. You'll meet them all, and you'll fall in love with them just as we have. It's been such a pleasure working with them. They sponsored the party last night, and I'd like to give them a hand. So this year's theme is, well, I guess it was up there at one point, living a well life. And, you know, when we chose that theme about a year ago, I don't think we realized how important it was going to be, even more important than a year ago when we were sort of envisioning it. But living a well life is something that is become more and more important, and actually, I would say not as easy to do anymore, even a year ago. When you think about some of the tragedies in Las Vegas, we've had hurricanes here in Florida that have, had devastated Puerto Rico, Houston, some of the other areas. And just the rhetoric on television that we all are introduced to every night almost. It is truly not only that we're in the business of helping other people live a well life, but I don't know about you, but in this last year, I've had to do more about embracing the things that we've learned to live a well life myself. So I think it was a great theme, and maybe it is somewhat auspicious that we're here in the U.S. to explore that theme today. To bring that theme to life, every year we have co-chairs that I'm so thankful for. And this year is no exception. There are 3 co-chairs. One of them is not able to be here because of a visa issue. That's Jerry Boddicker, Dr. Jerry Boddicker. However, we are happy to have Claire Mortarana and Amy Hsu, and I'd like you to just stand and just stand up, and you'll meet them both. It's been a pleasure working with them, and you know what's so great about having co-chairs is that every year we get outside new information, fresh ideas, and it keeps the summits, I think, really fresh, that we're always mining the talent that's out there. So I don't think we have the DNA strand on the screen, but you probably have it on your agenda and other places. Did you notice that we're using a DNA strand for our image this year? And there's a reason for that. First of all, we are going to talk about the DNA technology. Some of you have had a DNA experience that we hope you'll share with others. And I wanted to use it at this point as a metaphor to talk about the DNA of our organization. I'll just tell you about a few things that is a DNA of us. It's almost like I'm going to spit into a test tube and examine what our DNA is as an organization. But before I do that, I want to tell you that there's someone out here who has the exact same DNA that I do. And that is because I have an identical twin sister. And I want to introduce you to her because every year what happens is people go up to her and they start talking, and she's so embarrassed to say, well, I think you think I'm Susie, but I'm not really. So Katrine, would you stand so people will know you're not wearing green today? So 4 things that I think are the DNA of our organization. And for some of you, especially if you're new, I think it might be interesting for you to know. Number 1, we are committed to a global conversation. We are wanting to we think it's time in the world to be learning from other people globally, and that's why we do a summit in a different country every year. Not that it's easy. Our team will attest to the fact it's not so easy to do something like this in a new country every year, but it's such a privilege. You see all those flags over there? There are 79 flags, I think. At least we've had 79 people from 79 different countries attend the summit. And this year we were able to purchase 3 new flags. Any idea who's new? Which countries are new this year? We have with us Monaco, we have Costa Rica, and the Cayman Islands for the first time. So, welcome. One other thought about the inclusiveness of a global conversation. I think last year we learned very clearly, and we have been learning this, but we have to do a better job of being much more inclusive. We have a tendency to think about the 1%. We are in this fabulous place having a privileged experience, but wellness is for everyone, and we have to care for the people who might not be able to afford to do some of the things that we do. So increasingly, and through a variety of ways, we're putting a little more emphasis, actually a lot more emphasis, on social impact and taking care, because if we don't have wellness for everyone, then it's not really true wellness for us. The second marker of our DNA is our emphasis on building relationships. I think that's the glue here. That's the secret sauce, if there is one, of the summit being popular, is that we want you to form relationships. And we don't just put you together in cocktail parties and hope you'll meet someone. We really make an effort. We mix you up at lunch. We mix you up at dinner. We do a variety of things to hopefully help you meet other people. And one of the things we do is our delegate directory. This year, it's pink. And I was thinking this morning as the sun was coming up, I hope the pink will remind us of the sunrise here at the Breakers. In this, you'll see all the contact information for everyone, for all of you. And just something I always like to mention is that we give this to you in a spirit of trust. Trust that you will not use it to market, but trust that you'll use it to establish one-on-one relationships. And I think it's done that for many, many years, and that's why we continue to do this. Another thing we do is the way we put the summit together is to encourage relationship building. And so this year we have a new format. We're very excited about it. The format is that there's 3 rooms. You've told us you don't want to choose between 5 and 6 different things to go to. So we're narrowing your choice a little bit. On the other hand, we're giving you so many more people to listen to. This room is called the Ideas Room. And you will see people on the stage speaking for 18 minutes or less. And this year we are so committed to making sure no one goes over 18 that we have a little nudge that will help, that we will hear if someone is approaching 18.5. Can we hear the nudge? Because that way no one will be surprised if they hear it. It's like the Academy Awards, it's time to get off stage. Thank you. The nudge becomes less of a nudge and a little more of a poke as time goes on. The second room, which is right near here, is the one we call the collaboration room. And you'll be amazed at what it looks like when you go in. It is a round table in the round, tiered seating for an audience, and there are round tables that happen there with 12 to 16 people in an interesting conversation led by a moderator. Those are much longer. Audience has a chance to ask questions there. And then the third room is the salon, which is also near here, the gold room, and it's a more intimate setting. This morning we'll all be here. This afternoon you'll have a choice. Tomorrow the salons will begin. Moving along, our third strand of DNA is research, science, evidence-based approaches, and quantitative measurements. We are serious about wellness. And so we put a lot of emphasis on research that through our global wellness, our nonprofit wellness institute, we give away to everyone, and you'll hear more about that. We hired SRI International 10 years ago. That started as Stanford Research Institute, and we had brilliant researchers who did our first study and who are still with us today, and they've done over 10 studies, and we continue to invest in research because we think the numbers make a difference, evidence-based. We are very committed to that, and it's a strand of our DNA that I think you should know. This bubble chart, if you can see it, I see it, but it's not up yet. Oh, there it is. Okay. This is what started as the spa industry has obviously blossomed, as you know, in the world. And through our research, we now have a global wellness economy, and this particular last research study from last year has helped identify some of the parts of this. So you can see we have complementary and alternative medicine, preventative and personalized medicine, healthy eating and nutrition, fitness and mind-body, beauty and anti-aging, and then the spa industry, the colored balls, the spa industry, wellness, tourism, thermal, mineral springs, workplace wellness, and wellness lifestyle real estate, which is a very exciting new research that we're going to hear and have introduced today, is all making up a $3.7 trillion economy. And the size of the balls, as we learned from last year when we had the equivalent of those sized balls on stage, is the size of, and the quantitative size of those sectors. And as far as the forecast goes, all of them very positively growing till 2020, that's the research time frame, with a growth rate of between 4.8% and 7.5%, with wellness tourism having the fastest growing rate and mineral and thermal springs the slowest, but still very, very positive. And then the fourth DNA marker is that we focus on the future. We think that is what makes it vibrant to come to the summit. We think that we know we have given you some cutting-edge kinds of things, and this year we have more cutting-edge things on the stage. You'll meet the wellness robot. There's a life square. You've done the DNA testing. And this year, for the first time, you'll hear more about this, is that we have worked with Deborah Junier of EcoChi, who you will meet later, to create the 3 different experiences in our rooms with her sacred geometry principles and so on. It's the first time that has ever been done with a conference. So, to sum up, because I see the music starting shortly, I want the board to stand so we can give you a hand. The entire board of the advisors of the summit. Thank you, thank you. And the last thing I want to do is I'd like to have all the new people who are here to stand up as we wrap up. If the new people, and we can just welcome you. Thank you. Have a great summit.